Hello once again, Marc Yaxley, here with Kevin Smith in his studio, and I want to thank Kevin for allowing me to do these sessions with guitar technique and talking about music theory, chord inversions, etc. What I thought I'd do today is I'm trying to approach this as if players are at all levels. I'm going to assume that you know how to play a basic G chord that we learn in beginning guitar books. And what I'm going to do is change the notes of this chord. I guess we can call it an inversion of it, but the root is still going to be in the bass, G. But what I refer to, I call these type of chords that I'm going to demonstrate tone rows. They're like rows of notes that usually incorporate a fingered note and then an open string ringing inside of the shape. And it causes the chord to almost, have a melody in the chord. So I'm going to play the basic chord of G. Now I'm going to refinger this and put a first finger on the 3rd fret E string, which is still G, the root, and then I'm going to play a D on the 5th fret on my A string. After that, I'm going to play an F sharp on the D string. So what we have here is the first finger playing the root, which is G natural. The pinky is playing on the 5th fret A string, the note D, which is the 5th of a G chord. Then real conveniently located is the 3rd finger right on top of the D string on the 4th fret, which is the note F sharp, which is the major 7th of a G scale. So these notes are G, D, F sharp. We've still got 3 other strings that we haven't played, so if I continue on and play the G string right after the F sharp, we have a root again. We've got 1 finger left over that we haven't used, and it just so happens to be right on top of the B string on the 3rd fret. That note is D, which is, again, the 5th of a G chord. So now we have G with a first finger, D with a pinky, or 4th finger, F sharp on the D string, open G, then another D with the 2nd finger. So we have a little melody here. We've got 1 string left, which is an open E. Ringing open. So when you press notes down with the fingertips and have open strings ring against them, it's a beautiful sound on a stringed instrument when that happens. I'm going to go back to the basic G chord, assuming that you know it. Now I'm going to rearrange these notes of the G chord and add F sharp and an E, which is the 7th and the 6th of a G chord. So it has a little bit more color than just the basic G. We have a root, a 5th, a major 7th, another root, another 5th, and an open E. I could actually sing that. It's a melody. I don't have a great voice right now, but you can actually sing these pitches and you can hear a melody inside the chord. So I just basically call these melody chords. They have a built-in tone row of notes that give you a kind of a melodic sensation when you play it. Now, every time you have a shape and you move it around, you can realize other chords. You can find that if I move now to a B flat chord, I'm going to go back to G, and I'm going to play a B flat bar chord. I can find this same chord, B flat, on the 6th fret, keeping my fingers down in this shape that we just did with G. So here's G. I'm going to move to the 6th fret. We have a B flat with an open E, which is what I consider a B flat Lydian sound. So I'm just going to go back and forth between the two. What I'm doing is G to B flat to G. But I'm going to refinger and add these beautiful notes with open strings involved as well. It's a nice sound. Basic. With a little bit of experimentation with restacking the notes. B flat. You can keep what I call innocent meandering around the fingerboard. Just let your hands wander and you may find some sounds that you enjoy. Just realizing that a G chord will go to a 4 chord of C. We have that happen a lot. A 1 to a 4. Well, let's try that with these new shapes. Here's G to a 4. Very nice, it works. So just by moving your hands around, you can find chord progressions by holding the shape down and realizing that these sounds can work, and the note order doesn't, it still remains attractive. That's G, here's C with a melody. Ba-da-dee-da, ba-da-dee-da. So here's a simple progression. G, C, D, G. But I'm going to use my substitute chords, or my melody tone row chords if you wish. G, C, D, G. So you see how that works. That's a very, very strange feel in the hand. It's a physically unusual feel in the hands. So again, I think we've talked about dropping the hand down and looking at the area where you're going. Maybe have an aiming finger. In this case, I'm going to use my first finger as the aiming finger. I want it to land right there and line up the other fingers. And do it from a distance and only play it once. Drop, look, aim, and fire. Great way to practice, because if you can play it accurately from a distance, there's a good chance you can play it from the area of the fingerboard when you're playing the instrument. I call it chord bowling, like you're holding a bowling ball and you're just about to bowl. But relax that hand, let that blood circulate down to the palm of the hand, and look at the fingerboard where you're going, and have an aiming finger. In this case, I'm using my index. Sometimes I just play the one note to get me in, right in the area where I'm going. It's a very unusual shape. Well, if you do this on all the chords that you're studying, it helps zero in on the physical problem and do it slowly. A lot of times, and I include myself, we play a lot of music and we move and we just want to play from the beginning to the end all the time, and if there are inaccuracies, we'll fix it later, but we never do. So what I'm trying to do here is put every chord that I invent myself and every chord voicing that is difficult under the microscope. And I spend a lot of time doing this. I don't play a lot of music during the day. I'm basically looking at the chords and realizing that I'm physically inaccurate while I'm playing the music, and I need to go back and review the physics of things. And that's just some advice to you. If you're having trouble making things happen, it's usually because we just play too much and not long enough on one thing. Do one thing for a long time, and you will see results a lot quicker and a lot more accuracy in your playing. So again, these little videos we're doing here are about good technique and healthy practice ideas that will save you a lot of time. I know they have for me, and I've been fortunate to have people that knew these little secrets of my life that helped me conquer. So what we're talking about, just to review, is taking basic chords and rearranging the notes, realizing what the notes are, because what that does is lead to good improvisational ideas. If you know what the notes are you're playing and you see a chord on the lead sheet and you have to improvise over that chord, you know where you are, you have an idea. So doing these chord tone row melody chords and talking about the notes, talking about what you're playing to yourself and realize what you're playing helps you when you go to take a solo, improvise solo. It has to happen very quick. Another technique for doing that is just taking one note. In this situation, I'm going to pick an F sharp and another one and another one. Well, that F sharp happens to be the major seventh of this G chord we're playing. We're here on the first 4 frets. There's only 4 F sharps in this area. So what I'm doing is shrinking the fingerboard down in my mind, just to 4 frets, and realizing what that F sharp is, what its role is in the chord. In this case, it's the major 7th. And I'm trying to memorize that. Repetition, again, is the prince of progress, and I'm just going to play those notes a lot. So what I'm talking about here is having an F sharp moment. Just think about that one note. Do this with all the notes. Do this with all areas of the guitar, with all your chords. Just get inside the chord. Get inside what's happening when you play this instrument in your mind. So what we've done is talk about basic chords and subbing out, substitutes, rearranging the notes, and basically playing basic progressions using your new fingerings that you've invented. You can use them in any music. When someone's playing basic chords, another guitarist or a piano, whatever, vibraphone, whenever you're playing with someone else, you can use these new chord voicings that you've invented and play with these people, but you're actually playing something different than they are because you're not doubling what they're doing. We don't need 4 guitar players playing the same chord. It's a nice fat sound, but what I try to do when I see people play a guitar with me, I try to play different things than they are in the chord voicing. So it has an atmosphere of a little bit more spread in the harmonies in the two instruments. Lots of fun. You can do this when you're recording 2 tracks. For instance, basic chords on one track and then the new melody tone road chords on the other track, and record them, and they call that dubbing. You're dubbing them together, and then have a solo instrument on top of all that bank of sound. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do, and you can basically find some sounds maybe the human ear's never even heard before, because you've invented these chords yourself. And the different combinations are endless.